Who are these people?
Let's get to our next story and finish stuff out. So, uh, I brought this. This is from the Gray Zone. Alex Rubenstein. He's wanting to talk about a particular instance where Ukrainians decided to have a poll on who they should murder next after a car bomb of another Russian journalist. So, you know, essentially taking the epic rap battles of history out. But Ukrainian media asks who should be next after car bombing of Russian writer. A Ukrainian media group partnered with BBC, Der Spiegel, and other Western outlets polled readers on which Russian intellectual should be assassinated following a car bomb attack on writer Zakhar Prilepin. The Biden administration has greenlit Kiev's campaign of terror hours after Russian writer and activist Zakhar Prilepin was nearly killed in a targeted car bomb. A popular Ukrainian news agency submitted a poll that asked its readers, who do you think should be next in the Russian pantheon of scum propagandists? It's open season on Russian intellectuals supportive of the government's war effort, according to Ukrainian news agency Union, following a car bomb intended to kill Russian novelist Zakhar Prilepin in the Nizhny Novgorod region of Russia. The outlet polled its audience on Telegram, providing a list of names of prominent Russians that could be assassinated. Excluding the two reported assassination attempts on Russian President Vladimir Putin, Prilepin is the third high-profile Russian to be targeted for assassination by Ukrainian agents. His maiming follows the car bombing that killed Daria Dugina, which was intended for her father, the Russian nationalist philosopher Alexander Dugin, and the bombing of a public event featuring Vladimir Tartarovsky, who ran a popular Telegram channel. The Telegram post by Union explicitly references Dugin, Tartarovsky, and Prilepin. So here's Michael Cobb's hashtag defend our values. Union, part of the 1+1 media group majority owned by Kolomoisky, generates polls on its Telegram channel about which Russian journalists should be murdered next. Clients of Union are, among others, AP, BBC, Reuters, VOA, and Deutsche Welle. Among the list of potential targets were the operators of other Telegram channels, RT editor-in-chief Margarita Simonian, crudely referred to in the post as Beaver Eater, Russian TV news host Dmitry Kiselyov, and Sergei Mardan, and others. Some 50,000 Telegram users have voted in the poll at the time of this article's publication. According to Union About page, the outlet partners in information dissemination and exchange with American outlets Reuters and Bloomberg, while its clients include prominent foreign outlets like the BBC and Der Spiegel. So here's their little blurb. Union partners in information dissemination and exchange are the world-leading news agencies, Thomson, Reuters, and Bloomberg. Its subscribers and clients include the largest Ukrainian international corporations, the Coca-Cola Company, Siemens, Philip Morris, Ukraine, ESET, P&G, Inchi SE, Ergodom, Erkland Farming, Erknegro, Carlsberg, Ukraine, Kyivstar, Vodafone, Erknafta, and others. Ukraine's central authorities such as Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, the National Bank, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Security Service of Ukraine, and others. Diplomatic missions and embassies of various international organizations like the OSCE, the European Commissions in Ukraine, influential international media, including BBC, Der Spiegel, The Times, and so on. So that's who this group is connected to, right? This is their Telegram channel, right? So Union is owned by the 1+1 media group belonging to Ukrainian oligarch Ihor Kolomoisky, a longtime backer of Ukrainian President Zelensky and the neo-Nazi Azov Battalion. The conglomerate is also the parent company of TSN, the TV news program that recently put out a bounty for drone terror attacks on Red Square during Moscow's annual May 9th celebration of the defeat of Nazism, aka V-Day. Right?
Right.
So here's the Gray Zone news. Ukrainian banker offers cash for drone terror in Russia. Oligarch Vladimir Yatsenko offered a $500,000 bounty to any weapons maker able to land a drone in Red Square during Moscow's upcoming Victory Day parade. So here's this guy.
А от про те, як розвивається
but
вітчизняний ринок безпілотників.
Do what?
Do we need to go back in time for this?
Yeah, probably. So I'll read it anyway. Because I don't think any of you know Russian or Ukrainian. So, but about how the domestic drone market is developing. When all the Ukrainian Defense Forces needs are met, how will Ukrainian developers take their place on the international UAV market? And when will Ukrainian drones fly to Red Square? Let's talk about this with our next guest, Vladimir Yatsenko. Yatsenko is the co-founder of Monobank and producer of the Dovbush drone. Vladimir, welcome. We're happy to see you. Do you think the Ukrainians will fly to Moscow, he asks. I think that it's a necessary moment. That is, I think that May 9th is a very good moment. Because I read that Putin is planning a parade on Red Square.
Wow.
And there will be a lot of vehicles. That is, they will be, as they say, very legitimate military targets and quite a lot of civilians, sir.
Right.
And I think that with the whole community making drones, I think that we should really make a holiday for them. And I hear that Putin isn't sure whether he will attend. So we must somehow remind him of us.
By bombing them.
So as not to hide the intrigue, I will say, I decided to give this award to Ukrainian manufacturers. The premium is very large and I believe it should be spent on improvement of drones. The prize will be 20 million hryvnias, right, which is approximately 549,000 USD. With the condition, the drone must land on May 9th on Red Square. The drone should be recognized, that is. It must have Ukrainian slogans like Glory to Ukraine or Putin la 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 or Glory to the Heroes so that I can understand which manufacturers made it and who didn't arrive. The money is the minimum amount I always have deposited in Monobank. You can go to the QR code and see that there's already 20 million hryvnias for participation in the parade. I want to say that in order not to give the impressions this is a game with the Bush participation, according to the law, I will not pay the prize to myself. By the way, I want to say we are already warming up. For example, on the 28th of March, there was news that there was a drone. Unfortunately, for us, it was a training drone, but it caught on a high voltage line. But we didn't make it only 45 kilometers from Red Square. It was, by the way, ready for the parade. We watched a bit how they reacted, whether or not they see us. I can say that everything will be fine. Let's create a holiday for them.
Wow. That's our money, folks.
And yet we still think that the other drones was a Russian false flag. Is that They're making it very easy for false flags in this case by literally, hey, could you write this on the false flag for us? Like, so.
I mean, I gotta give them props for wanting them to be so blatant as hell to let them know, yeah, it's us. And
yeah.
what? Like,
yep.
Hi, Misty. I'll see you in a few minutes.
Real quick to finish up, the assassination attempt against Russian novelist Sahir Prilepin conceded with raids inside Ukraine that swept up 11 war commentators, including Gonzalo Lira, an American citizen. Ukraine's SBU intelligence agency announced on May 4th that they had arrested another network of enemy internet agitators. So here's Rubenstein. Ukrainian secret police announced they have arrested 11 internet agitators, a sign of what's to come to the Western world if the elites are to be believed when they say this is a war for the future of democracy. American journalists with ties to U.S. intelligence have sought to justify the targeting of online influencers. Christo Grosev, the lead Russian investigator at the U.S. government-funded outlet Bellingcat, justified the bombing of a public event at a cafe in St. Petersburg on the grounds that the target was a, quote, propagandist. Similarly, Sarah Ashton Cirillo, an American journalist and former Democratic Party operative who enlisted in Ukraine's armed forces, filmed a phantasmagorical defense of the arrest of American Gonzalo Lira by Ukrainian intelligence agents on the same grounds. While the SBU had only publicly released images of Lira with the face blurred, Ashton Cirillo was somehow able to produce uncensored ones. Meanwhile, the Biden admin has provided a green light for Ukraine's campaign of terror inside Russia following the second assassination attempt of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken was asked about the U.S. view on attacks inside Russian territory. These are decisions for Ukraine to make about how it's going to defend itself, Blinken responded. Among the trove of top-secret documents linked by National Guardsman Jack... First of all, imagine if Russia did that with Iranian terrorists or... I mean, like any terrorist group, if they just like, oh yeah, let them, you know. Among the trove of top secret documents linked by National Guardsman Jack Teixeira are now likely slowly decomposing in file cabinets at top American newsrooms is a document detailing the U.S. dismissal projections for a Ukrainian counteroffensive as it hopes for recapturing the whole of its pre-2014 territory. Ukraine is resorting to a campaign of targeted assassinations against its most vocal critics in Russia, and disappearing those who remain within its realm. So, thoughts?
All I can say is damn.
Yeah.
And
stay safe out there, fam. You know?
I mean, but it's not surprising to us given what we've reported and seeing, you know, our colleagues in the space also have reported. And I know Alex was on Sabi's show yesterday, so I believe he probably would have talked about this too.
Yeah.
But the blatancy of just being like, yeah, and mainstream media is not going to talk about it. Mainstream media is not going to mention this at all.
Right.
Or they're going to spin it in terms of, oh yeah, well, like if they get bombed or whatever, or if they get murked or whatever, that they had it coming. Essentially,
yes.
Like, you know, like
as the Irish would say, I'd leave your car door open when you start it. Is all I'm saying. You know,
right?
So
it's well, but again, this is where our money is going to.
Yeah.
Marianne,
mm-hmm.
Like, how are you going to explain this?
Putin's lies. Putin's lies. They're,
right.
You know, they're just as like, you know, apparent as Biden's lies. Let me check my crystals to see the answers. Anyway,